I used to use Material UI and that really sucked. I am Siddharth, and from the title, I guess you already know this video is about what technologies or stack I usually use while building a project. So let's just start with the front end. So first up is obviously Reactjs. Reactjs I guess सब लोग आजकल यूज़ कर रहे हैं एंड इसकी कम्युनिटी इतनी बड़ी है, कोई भी इशू आ रहा है आई एम 90% श्योर कि ऑनलाइन इसका कुछ ना कुछ बना हुआ मिल जाएगा उस प्रॉब्लम को टैकल करने के लिए. इन्फिनाइट स्क्रॉल चाहिए, इन्फिनाइट स्क्रॉल का कंपोनेंट मिल जाएगा एंड स्टफ. एंड पर्सनली मैंने करीब करीब 1 साल से ऊपर वनीला जावास्क्रिप्ट यूज़ किया, तो आई गेस दिस वाज कम्प्लीटली लाइफ चेंजिंग फॉर मी. इसने मेरा डेव एक्सपीरियंस काफ़ी बेटर कर दिया एंड इसके डॉक्स बहुत वेल रिटर्न है. अगर सीखना है तो आई गेस खाली डॉक से भी हो जाएगा, बट यू कैन ऑब्वियसली लुक एट लेक्चर्स एंड स्टफ. एंड वन टिप कि हुक्स ठीक से पढ़ लो. मैंने काफ़ी डेवलपर्स देखे हैं, उनको हुक्स ठीक से यूज़ करने नहीं आते. स्टेट मैनेजमेंट में थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम आती है, उनको ये नहीं पता कि क्लीनअप्स ठीक से कैसे चलते हैं. लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ अ कंपोनेंट में प्रॉब्लम आती है. तो आई गेस ये कॉन्सेप्ट ठीक से पढ़ लो. बाकी रिएक्ट इज अमेजिंग एंड यस, लर्न द हुक्स. सेकेंड अप is Recoil. Recoil is a state management library like Redux. I used to use Redux, but last year Recoil आ गई है and मैंने Redux I guess completely यूज़ करना छोड़ दिया. Redux is shit, बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा सेटअप है and बहुत मेहनत लगती है. And Recoil on the other hand, बस use state की जगह use Recoil state लिखना and done, global state बन गया वो. So amazing. इसके वन ऑफ द स्मॉलेस्ट डॉक्स होंगे जो मैंने देखे हैं. लिटरली बेसिक ट्यूटोरियल, एटम्स, सिलेक्टर्स, ख़त्म. 2 चीज़ें होती हैं इसमें एंड लाइक आई सजेस्ट डू चेक इट आउट अगर रीडक्स से तुम भी परेशान हो. सो नेक्स्ट अप इज़ रिएक्ट क्वेरी. दिस इज़ अ रिलेटिवली न्यू एडिशन टू माई स्टैक. मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम इसको इम्प्लीमेंट किया होगा नाडोज पे. अगर नाडोज नहीं पता, डू चेक इट आउट, इट्स अ गुड प्लेटफॉर्म. एंड उसके बाद से जिस भी प्रोजेक्ट में अगर मेरे को डेटा फेचिंग की नीड है तो आई यूजुअली इम्प्लीमेंटेड विथ रिएक्ट क्वेरी. एंड लाइक बहुत सारी चीज़ें ब्लैक बॉक्स कर देता है, जैसे हमें नॉर्मली स्टेट्स बनाने पड़ते हैं, लोडिंग इज एरर एंड स्टफ. तो ये एक ही हुक दे देगा, उसके अंदर डेटा भी, लोडिंग भी, एरर भी, सब कुछ हैंडल होता है. एंड ऑन टॉप ऑफ दैट बहुत सारी फंक्शनैलिटी इसने बिल्ड कर रखी है, लाइक नेटवर्क कैशिंग हैंडल हो रखी है. एंड अगर डेटा प्री फेच करना है, जैसे नेक्स्ट पे सर्वर साइड रेंडरिंग के टाइम पे डेटा प्री फेच करना है, तो रीहाइड्रेशन के टाइम पे ही डेटा डाल देगा. एंड अगर 2-3 जगह क्वेरीज कॉल हो रखी हैं तो हर एक ही बारी कॉल मारेगा, हर जगह भेज देगा. सो आई गेस इट्स अ वेरी गुड क्वेरिंग क्लाइंट. डू चेक इट आउट. It's time for the component library that I use. I used to use Material UI and that really sucked. And I shifted on Chakra UI like around more than a year ago, I guess. And it has been amazing. I've used it in nearly all my projects. Nardos is built on this, and like any small project that I have is built with Chakra. Because of the customizability, of course. The customizability is really good. And Chakra, actually Material UI fights back a lot. And it is awarded the most impactful project to the community. I got to know this today. I visited the homepage after so long. And syntax is similar to Tailwind. You just pass h in props and that is height, and mt for margin top. But the best thing is you can pass in array of stuff and it will work as media queries. You don't have to write media queries anymore. So 2 for smaller devices, 3 for larger devices, 4 for tablets, 5 for desktop, and like 6 for larger screens and stuff. And it is amazing. If you don't want customizability, do use Material UI. I have no obligation. But if you want customizability, Chakra UI is amazing. Do check it out. Now this one is more like an honorable mention. I don't use 3D in all my projects, but whenever I do, I usually use React 3 Fiber. I don't want to write plain 3JS. And it actually outperforms 3JS at a scale. And it actually adds a lot of functionality on top of it, like on-click events. You can directly add on-click events, on-hover events and stuff. So if you want to create good web experiences, good 3D web experiences, do check this library out. And now let's talk about the backend. Now coming to the backend, I personally prefer GraphQL based backend over a RESTful one. And speaking from a backend guy's perspective, I like it mainly for 2 reasons. One would be that it is inherently strongly typed. What I mean by that is I can generate types from the GraphQL schema that I have written, and I don't have to write types for my TypeScript files. And secondly is it doesn't have much of a boilerplate. If you have used Express, and I think you most probably would have, you have to create so many routers for everything and you have to manage so many different routes. But in GraphQL, there's only one endpoint and you have to manage that only. And now speaking from a front-end guy's perspective, one of the best thing would be that you don't have to say, भाई इस endpoint पे ये भी दे दे, मुझे ये भी चाहिए display करने के लिए. And I guess that's like a really good part of TypeScript, GraphQL in itself, that you don't have to keep telling the backend guy, भाई ये भी दे दे, ये भी दे दे. You can just ask the server and it will give what you have asked for. And it is only a query language, so you need a client to implement it. And the client I used, and I think is most widely used, is Apollo Server. And Apollo Server comes with a really good feature that I like, which is mocks. While creating the server, you can just write mocks equal to true, and what it will do is it will automatically return mock data for the queries that you have not written the resolver for. So if I haven't written one resolver also, I have just written the schema, I can deploy the server with the mocks property set to true, and the front-end guy can hit the server, get mock data for every query, and he can work on the front end while you work on the back end. And that, I guess, is really nice if you have to deliver fast. And now for the ORM, I use Prisma. It goes really well with GraphQL and it works with many different databases like Postgres, Mongo, even Mongo, right? And it has its own schema language, and if you want to switch to Prisma, it actually automatically generates the Prisma schema for the database you already have. And it is type safe because it generates types for your Prisma client that you'll be using on your backend. So it is a type safe database client, and it also writes migrations for you. You don't have to write migrations anymore for your SQL databases, and you can directly interact with your database with Prisma Studio, and it runs on localhost. You don't have to actually download anything, and it's a really great ORM. And I usually use it with Postgres. Heroku provides free Postgres for all your projects, so I use it usually with that, and I have used it with Mongo too, and it works really well even if it's in preview right now. Now this one is really special. It is not a front-end or a back-end tool, but a tool that will generate code for you, and it will generate your TypeScript types both on the front-end and the back-end, and it will also generate query hooks for you on the front-end, so you don't have to actually write any of the logic in your React query hooks or Apollo client hooks or anything. You just have to write a GraphQL query in a separate file, and it will generate the backend call hooks for you, and you just have to call that hook. And it actually works with nearly everything: Vue, Angular, React, and RTK query, which is React Redux, I guess. And it's really great. Do check it out if you're working with GraphQL. I guess you most probably would have heard of it, but if you haven't, check it out. And that's it for this video. Do comment your own stacks in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next video.